Hello, everybody, and welcome to a chat about. So, today we're going to have a chat about confidence. Something that a lot of people feel that they lack, but actually, I think, have more than what they realize. But today we're going to be chatting. As usual, Mick is going to be running the bells and the whistles. So, if you've got any questions, let us know, put them into the comment section, and he will bring them up, and we will ask Natalie, our guest all about, we'll ask the questions, we'll put the questions to Natalie, our expert in confidence. So, Natalie is joining us today from Natalie King Coaching. And yes, Natalie does exactly that, confidence and resilience. So, let's have a little swap around. Hello, Natalie.
Hello, Gareth. Hello, Mix. Thank you
Nice.
so much for inviting me.
Not a problem. It's good to have you on board. I've always found confidence to be one of those things that I love to challenge. I think it's really I'm one of those weird people. I love getting out of my comfort zone. I really do. So much so that I've done stand up comedy, which just basically was I was Mick was there the first time I did it, and I was bricking it. It's actually on YouTube. But that was the biggest challenge of my confidence ever. What's your biggest challenge you've ever given yourself then, Natalie?
Oh, my biggest challenge was the first time I ever had to stand up and give a speech. That was my do I stay or do I go
Yeah,
moment.
it really is one of those. It's fight or flight, isn't it? It's really a case of
Yeah.
yeah. It's a really it's such a valuable thing, though, isn't it? Confidence.
It is. I mean, it helps in so many different ways, and I think we were talking before we came on live, and you mentioned that people have confidence that they don't necessarily realize that they've got confidence, and I think what happens is generally people focus on where they lack confidence
Yes.
instead of focusing on, hang on, I've got confidence here, and then working from that. Instead they think, but I'm not confident in this area, therefore I don't have any.
Yeah.
And that's not really how it works.
No.
And one of the things I really love about confidence is it's not you either have it or you don't. It doesn't mean that if you've got it one day and then you don't have it the next, that it's gone. It's almost like it's an alive organism.
Yeah.
It ebbs and flows just depending on how you're feeling, depending on what's happening in your life. It just depends. Some days you can be rocking it, and then the next day it's, I'm not getting out of bed because it's just not happening.
Yeah.
And this is what I love about confidence.
That is so true because there are times where you wake up and you think you really feel not as you feel insecure about something, and yet you're kind of saying to yourself, "What's the matter? You've done this 100 times. Why now are you?" But I think it's like a mood. It depends what mood you're in, kind of at the moment and stuff. I know that we all wear masks. And when I used to be in that large organization networking group, and I used to go to Leeds. Sometimes I used to pull up in the car park, and I just wouldn't be in the mood for it. And you put the mask on, you open the door, you get out, you walk in, morning, you're right, and it's like, oh, and you just don't want to be there. And I think confidence is similar to that.
Mm, mm.
It's
Definitely. You
yeah,
described it really well. It is. And in some ways, I often use the analogy of driving. Is some days you very confident in driving, and then you might just have that moment where you're thinking,
mm,
what am I doing? What's happening? And that's just a moment that you're having. It doesn't mean that you've lost the confidence or your skill to drive. It's just, as you said, it's we human and we
mm,
have emotions, and sometimes they're working for us and sometimes they just work against us. But this is one thing I really love about confidence, because it's so up and down and flowing. You really got to find ways to work with it, and when you start to work with it, even when you're having those moments, like you mentioned, you go to these network meetings, and the last thing you want to do, you get out the car and you look at your watch and you think, okay, 1 hour, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Sort of
Yeah.
start the countdown, you take that breath, you plaster on that smile, and you just appear, confident, and you appear. But these are also tools that you start to use, because what you're actually doing then is also just going into your reserves of confidence and helping you to get through those moments. And when you start to realize that that's okay, and you're starting to realize that the next time that happens, it's going to be, yeah, I did it before, I can do it now. I might
Yeah.
not be in the mood, I might not feel like it, there might be some twat at this meeting that I really don't want to see, I don't necessarily want to be here, but I can do it, I can deal with it, I can cope. It's only going to be an hour, 45 minutes, or however long it's going to be. I can do this. And this is where just learning about how you can tap into this, that can really help, instead of and I've, hands up, I have done this a couple of times. That's it, I'm not going in, start the car and off you go.
Mm.
It's like, I'm not doing this, I'm off.
Right.
Yeah, but we human.
Excuse me. Yeah, well, at the end of the day, when you talk about it like being driving, and all the rest of it, whenever I get in the car with Mick, I lose confidence. Um, yeah. No, it's interesting. I put it out to the people who are watching. Anybody out there, what's the most challenging situation you've put yourself into? That'd be interesting to find out, because, as I say, I think that everybody should step out of their comfort zone um, regularly. Because quite simply, it's called a comfort zone for a reason, and it's too easy to just sit in there and feel safe. Whereas people should be challenging themselves.
But it's also, yes, I agree, it's step out your comfort zone, whether it's a tiny little step or a massive leap. But it's also finding your way of stepping out the comfort
Yeah,
zone. So Gareth, you mentioned you did stand-up comedy.
yeah,
Well, I would literally need to have a gun to my head to do stand-up
yeah,
comedy, because that's not who I am or the way that I'm wanting to step out my comfort zone. So it's finding what works for you as an individual to help you to step out. But it is important to do something that makes you feel uncomfortable, that you're not necessarily confident doing or secure in doing, but do it in a way that doesn't sort of stop your heart or give you a heart attack or anything. And
yeah.
sometimes, and even myself, I've been doing this for a long time now. Sometimes it's something small because it's just one of those days, and other days it could be something really big.
Mm,
So it's just allow it to find what works for you, but don't stress if something doesn't work. So as I mentioned, is I don't visualize myself doing stand-up comedy. I've never wanted to do stand-up comedy. It's not something that's entered my head. But then when you start to think, yeah, but because Gareth's done it now, I have to do it.
mm,
No, it's not like that, because it's finding something else. It's doing something that gets me out my comfort zone. And the same for Gareth, maybe there's something that I do that you just think, oh, you nuts, or
mm.
or not, but it's finding what works for you and
Yeah.
stepping out. And yeah, definitely you need to create a elasticated comfort zone as opposed to a rigid
Yeah,
comfort
yeah,
zone.
that's a good idea. Yeah. I will admit, actually, I said to myself in the January of 2012, it was in the January of 2012, I said, right, I'm going to do stand-up comedy. And I didn't do it till November.
That's fine, you
Because
did it, you
it
said you're
took,
going to do it and you did it.
I got cornered like a rat, actually. Because I kept saying and saying and saying. And then somebody who owns a venue went, okay, I'll book you on. And I went, what?
Yeah, that teach you to say
And
it
then
out
I had
loud.
to do it, and then it was like, okay, right, fine. Um, but yeah, it was at the end of the day. I will say that you say stand-up comedy is like the for me,
But
that's
it's something
penultimate.
that you wanted to do.
Yeah, and it
Otherwise,
was.
you wouldn't have said that you wanted to do
Oh,
it.
that wasn't just jumping in the deep end. It was jumping in the deep end with sharks. It really was just like, go on, jump in that water with those sharks. Okay, you know. So yeah, but at the end of the day, what we're saying that confidence when speaking in front of groups of people, and I mean when I say groups of people, it can be anything from networking where there's just 3, 4 people stood around and you want to join in or you want to become part of the conversation and stuff like that. It could go. It's well, for me, it's no different than standing in front of 1,000 people. It's just having that commitment
Mm,
to
mm,
jump in
mm.
and do it, which I always find interesting. It's you said about little things. One of our other members, I said, right, do you want to come on to our live show? And she went, okay, well, I'm going to make my team be on videos, so I have to. So Liz is coming on. Um, Liz Brewster, that is, she's coming on. I don't know what month it is, but further down the line, and she's made that right. I'm going to do it. I'm going to come on. I'm going to be on the chat about series. So that would be quite good because
Mhm.
that's her thing. She's like, oh, but yeah, it'd be quite cool. So talking about that, then one of the things that one of the things we're going to do in the near future in a month is a webinar on having camera confidence and presentation skills. But camera confidence is something you actually do as well, isn't it?
So yeah, like most people, when March of 2020 hit, all of
Yeah.
a sudden everything was on Zoom. I hadn't even heard of the Zoom program before March 2020. I was very much face to face and live, and it was all of a sudden this camera. What you do, and of course 2020 is full of wonderful videos of cats, dogs, people not being seen. I mean, you just name it, it's happened. And we've learned over the last 4 years that more and more business is being done online. And so I've really started to look at what is it that's impacting about confidence. And it was what I was learning about it, because at the end of 2019, I was actually asked, would I ever go online as a coach? And I'm like, hell no.
Mm.
No, it's
Yeah.
all face to face. I like being with the people. And it's shifted now, is I do a lot online and I'm now starting to do more face to face stuff.
Yeah.
But it's watching what happened in mostly network meetings where people weren't speaking clearly, people were not looking at the camera. There was such a disconnect with the others that I was in the Zoom room with. And I started to think, what is it that's making or just creating that disconnect? And at first I thought, well, it's being on camera. I mean, if you think the three of us are at 3 different venues.
Yeah.
So we're not sort of feeding off each other's energy. I'm not getting your vibes or anything. And it's just a small picture literally on my screen. So how can you communicate with that? How can you look somebody in the eye when you on camera? And one thing that I started to realize is starting to find how you are comfortable on camera. So make yourself comfortable on the camera. Um, a great way is record yourself and watch yourself.
Yeah.
Learn to watch yourself. It's the same with speaking. If you talk and then you start to listen to your voice over and over, you start to get comfortable hearing your own voice. So editing for me has been great because I'm comfortable seeing myself on camera and I'm comfortable hearing myself on camera.
Yeah.
But it's also start to think about, you know, who you're speaking with. Look at the camera sometimes, so that it appears that you're looking in their eye. I know one of the things, I'm looking at you guys because I want to see your faces. And if I look at my camera, I can't. But when you know that you've got an audience, or you recording for an audience like a masterclass or a webinar or whatever, and it's pre-recorded, do try to look into the camera every now and again and not on the screen. You know, if you're screen sharing, just start to make it a habit to looking into the camera's eye as opposed to on the screen. And that way you will start to also feel a bit more confident, because you're starting to create the habits that will get you more comfortable. But also be comfortable where you're at. What's your background like?
Yeah.
You know, is it cluttered? Are you worried that somebody's going to see the laundry hanging up or something? I mean, Gareth, yours is blank. You know, Mick's got lighting, he's got musical instruments, so it's a nice background.
Yeah.
It seems to be Mick. I'm assuming he plays a musical instrument. I know that you do videoing, so therefore the lights are appropriate, but it's not cluttered. It's a nice background to look at. And this is something that to start to take into account, because when you start to look at the way you are being seen, that can help with confidence. It's almost like, you know, you put on that comfortable outfit that makes you feel confident.
Yeah.
If you're confident in your background, then you're not worried about it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Totally.
We actually, as part of our creating videos with your phone workshop, part of that is setting your studio up, and we do presenting and stuff like that. But you're bang on, because it will affect you if you keep looking and all you can see is that thing that you hate that bugs the crap out of you, and you're not going to come over, you're not going to deliver well. The whole thing about looking at the lens, what we say to people is, you know, yeah, look at the lens when you're doing your video, when you're recording videos. It's difficult when you're on Zoom because you want to see reactions, you want to see people's faces. But yeah, try and look at. But what you don't have to do is kind of constantly just be looking at the lens like
Oh no,
this.
then you're staring at
You know,
people. That's
you're
just
staring
creepy.
at them. I always say, you know, when you go networking and you're standing face to face, you wouldn't just stand and look at somebody like, you know, hello there, I'd like to, you know, because they'd be like backing away. You know, it's one of those things. You're allowed to think. You're allowed to you know, move your head. You're allowed to look away. You're allowed to look back up. The one that gets me every time is the people who have the Zoom on that screen and their webcam on this one, and they spend the meeting like this. And you're like, there's nothing worse. I'm sorry. If you're doing this, stop now. Okay.
Definitely, because you're not connecting. You're not connecting with anybody in that room.
And the other one is that we talk about is basically, you know, when people are filming on their phone and they're looking at themselves, and you could tell, you know, and we've got a method to stop that, which is very simply a post-it note that you stick over your face, yeah, and then that way you won't look at yourself. It's
But
like
it's all practice. It's
it is.
all.
It is.
I mean, the best thing is, whether you're on your phone, whether you're on Zoom, whatever you're on, record yourself and look and see, what does it look like? What does my background look like? There are times, I think, on the screen that I can see it's quite narrow, but sometimes I have stuff. I've got like a chair there. Sometimes I have stuff and I think, oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
But that's fine. But the thing is, it's if you sort of record yourself and get used to seeing yourself, get used to seeing your big fat head in the middle of the screen. Because when you start, you know, hiding and only this much can be seen, you need to connect. And think about when you face to face with somebody, you don't usually hide behind anything so that you can't be seen. You're not talking to people like this because I'll just walk away.
Yeah.
And it's the same when you on, especially if you're in a network meeting and you want to come off as professional, look at your camera or at your screen at least, so that people are not getting a side profile of you, because sometimes it's just
But you can tell, you can see the people who've got Zoom on that one and I mean camera there. and they do.
Move the camera or move
Oh,
Zoom or just stop looking at
move the
Zoom and
stuff
just
so
look at the
everything's
camera. I don't.
in line. Let's have it
After
in line.
4 years, I think that there's no more excuse. In the beginning of
That's right.
2020, yes, people are learning sort of how to do things online, and there was a huge learning curve and way to learn. But I think 4 years later, it's just be more you. Be It doesn't matter if there's a dog barking or if you get a
No,
cat walking past, or sometimes you'll get kids coming in, Mom, I'm hungry. That's fine. That these things happen.
they do.
But it's about the how are you coming off in the majority of the meeting?
Yeah,
And people like to see who you are. They like to see you. And if you're anything like me, I do love looking at backgrounds. So yeah, do
yeah, yeah,
just have them presentable. It doesn't have to be blank wall. It doesn't have to be, spick and span. But I
yeah,
know people have their books behind them. It's a great way to promote what they've written. You can have fun. I got a quote on the wall. It's have fun with it. Make it
yeah,
yours. Make it your space.
yeah. It's not difficult to do either, is it? Because in reality, this isn't a wall. This is actually a screen. Yeah,
Ah,
that's actually a roller banner with nothing printed on it. 2 meter by 2 meter roller banner. That's
there we
all it
go.
is. There you go. So it's and behind that is just total mess because basically we've had the bathroom done and there's just stuff everywhere. But all I do,
But it doesn't matter. We don't
yep,
know that.
put up and that's it, done. You know,
You
and
can, there's roller banners. You can even
uh,
have banners with your branding on it. You can put a
yeah,
sheet up. You can do
yeah,
all sorts. It's
exactly.
not rocket science. Just to what can people see when, and this is another reason why it's great to just record yourself in where you would normally be on recording, and then you can really look at it and start
Yeah,
thinking, oh, that doesn't look good, or how did my washing land up there?
yeah.
you know
Well, we have the 10 Commandments of video marketing, and commandment number 8 is it's only digital. So at the end of the day, all it's costing you is a bit of time to do a test recording, and then just get used to yourself,
Mhm.
and because you could just delete it,
Mm.
and that way then you basically, like you say, well, after a while, you like when you're editing, you just start to. I was the same when we started in 2011. I was doing all the front of house, because basically I was going out there doing this selling and all the rest of it. So I was doing the videos, and at first I was like, oh, you know, but I just thought, no, that's who you are, and people don't like the sound of their own voice, but that's how you sound. I mean, to you, yes, at the end of the day, you don't sound like what you think you sound like,
Mm.
you
Mm.
know, when you hear yourself back. But most of the stuff that you get is through your throat and up here. You don't actually hear that way. You hear rebounds and stuff like that. So it's very interesting. It's very interesting science. But
Can
yeah,
I share, I'm going to share a secret with you, and you might experience this, or I'm just the total weird one on the planet. But I often I've got a podcast, and I do all the editing, and
right,
sometimes if I'm not concentrating, I'm just listening. I'm not necessarily watching anything, and I have noticed that I respond to my own voice in because I'm so um, disconnected from it. It's not personal to me anymore, and sometimes it that I will say something and I'm like, oh, I need to get hold of that person to find out what they meant, not realizing that it's actually me. So I don't hear my voice as I recognize my voice,
yeah,
but it's not this like, oh, that's my
yeah,
voice. I don't recognize it. But it becomes almost not personal anymore. So there's no
yeah,
emotion attached to it. Or I will laugh at a joke that I might have said or a comment that I've said, or it's just, it becomes like listening to anybody else.
yeah,
And that I find quite comforting because I'm not cringing at the sound of my voice. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping that I'm not just a total weird one with that one, and that
No,
it's you
you
just get comfortable with
you
it.
you just you stop worrying about it and you start getting on with stuff.
Mm.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's one of those things. After a while, you're just like, well, whatever. That's me. I have terrible traits in saying things like at the end of the day, which I just said about 2 seconds ago, and basically, and they're my things. Now I've got to the point where what I do is I listen. I'm hearing myself doing my video, and I'll say basically, and I'll think, right, okay, don't use it for a while. I kind of make a mental note not to use it for a while. But when I tell people that, when people watch my videos, they go, "Yeah, you do say basically a lot." But I mean, it is what it is, and that's another one of mine as well. It is what it is. So just gotta go with it. So
At the end of the day,
at the end of the day, it is what it is. So basically, just get on with it. All right.
yeah, yeah, you say yeah a lot as well.
I say yeah a lot as well. Yeah.
We've got a hi.
Hi. Make edits the majority of stuff that we do for the company and for the business and that. And yeah, he can tell you some stories. And he released a very nice blooper of me. It'd probably be interesting to do a basically blooper. Yeah, just have loads and loads of cuts of it. So tell us more about the resilience and stuff, because you do confidence and resilience, don't you?
Yeah, so resilience and confidence work very much hand in hand, and this is something that I often tell my clients is that when you start to resilience is something that you can build on and almost create a reserve of resilience. Whereas confidence is much more sort of on the day, and you have the memory of when you were confident or weren't confident, and you can tap into that memory. But resilience is a bit more than that, whereas it's you can create a reserve. You can put that reserve in place for when you need it.
Yeah.
And it does take a little bit of effort. It takes a little bit of working at it to do it. And one of the things about helping you to build your resilience is doing things that give you energy, that inspire you, that motivate you, that help you to find and connect with who you are. And because when there's that stress that happens, nothing's going right, you're just under a lot of stress and just almost chasing your tail to keep going. This is when you're tapping into those reserves that you've built up that help you to keep going. So if you're not building up your reserves, what's happening is that you're then hitting that burnout. You're hitting that you just feel that you're just hitting rock bottom. And that's when you start to get that burnout. You start to really short-tempered, tired, and all that comes with that. And this is why I really wanting to encourage people to start to look at ways that you can build your resilience. And it doesn't have to be massive ways of doing it. It can just be take time out for yourself on a daily basis to go for a walk in nature, to have a healthy smoothie or something, read a book that inspires you, have that bubble bath, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be stuff that takes hours and hours, but what it does is it's helping you to connect with you. And I appreciate, people lead busy lives, and it's, you sort of get up and it's go, 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 go. But when you start to really create that resilience in your life, you create those pockets of time, because we're not machines. We're not designed to go, 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 go constantly. It's just give yourself those moments. You give clients those moments. You give family members those moments. Why not give yourself those moments? And it doesn't have to be right. That's it. I'm blocking out the afternoon every afternoon for me. It's little moments that you can do. Maybe you like to meditate. So meditate, block it out in your diary. That time is valuable to you. Maybe you like to take the dog for a walk or just walk on your own out in nature. That's your time. Block it out in your diary. But what you start to do is you prioritize these moments of you building your resilience, the self-care, or the just stopping a moment and just being you. And what you're doing is you building those reserves. So
Right.
when stuff happens and you don't not doing it, you're actually tapping into it to keep you going for however long it needs to go until you can get back into really starting to connect with your resilience. And the great thing is when you are working with your resilience and starting to really develop it, you start to build your confidence, because resilience is like giving you the strength. So stepping out of your comfort zone and doing something that's maybe a little bit uncomfortable, you're tapping into your resilience to get you going, but you're building your confidence because you've done it.
Right. Yeah.
So you see how they really connect together.
Yeah.
And then because you've done it and you feel confident, you've now put something in your reserves with the resilience. So it's a really nice way of intermingling the two of them together. And that take your comedy, standing up, comedy night, doing it. Yes, you were really stepping out your comfort zone. You had talked about it, so you got, you've talked enough about it. Now you're doing it. But you then tapped into your reserves of resilience to do it. But now when you look back on it, you've done it. And that helps you with the confidence and the resilience. So they're really closely interlinked. And that's something that I just love about them, because we need both to have a good life. And, just to be comfortable with who we are and just finding our way in life, we do need to have confidence, and we do definitely need to have resilience.
Yeah. That's very interesting, actually. Yes. Yeah. Time is very important, Celia.
And it is important to give everybody needs to give themselves time as well. They give everybody else time.
Yeah.
You need to give yourself time. It is very important.
No, that's good. That's good advice. Hello, Sanjay. Shipley College. Oh yes, we went and we did a talk at Shipley College, didn't we? Yes, we did chat with the students, the film media students.
Yeah. You were taken aback how much talking I actually did that day, weren't you?
I was really taken aback by how much talking you did that day, Mick. I was like, what?
But I used to teach at college, you see, so that was like a natural sort of place for me. So it just came out.
Yeah, because he doesn't talk much, but we always make a joke of it. But we're a bit like Penn and Teller,
One does all the talking and the other one just does the nodding.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It could be worse. It could be Jay and Silent Bob. Sometimes it is a bit like that. But anybody gets the joke, if anybody gets the reference. But there we are. But yeah, so no, it's really interesting. And obviously, you're doing your own videos. You've got your YouTube channel, which is basically start putting some links in. I think it's Natalie King Coaching, isn't it?
Yeah, very simple. Natalie King Coaching.
At confidence_coach. So yeah, you're doing loads of videos, which is really good, and nice to see.
Well, it's all on your advice. I follow what you say.
Well,
sometimes, mostly.
Mostly, yeah. It's definitely the medium of now. It's not the medium of the future. It's the medium of now. And some of the stuff you put out, I really do I watch them, and I actually sit down and I put stuff on. Sometimes, you'll do some longer videos, so I put them in the background. You just listen to what it is you're talking about. It's like, yeah, that's quite interesting. That's quite good, and I do like to listen to them, and I share them as well on our community page as well. But yeah, it's very, very, very interesting, and it's nice to see, when members are creating content and stuff. It's always really nice to see. And yeah, so keep up the good work. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Yeah.
Thank you. No, I really appreciate that. And I mean, it has been through your encouragement and advice that you've shared with me that sometimes it's like, oh, that's so obvious. Why didn't I think of that? But that's not my skill set. And it's nice to know that there's somewhere I can go and say, what's happening. And I just mostly try and follow what it is that you say, and it seems to be working. And consistency definitely is the key, but it's having fun with it.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm learning, is to have fun with it and not stress too much if I seem like I'm rambling or it doesn't always seem to be working. But it's the information, it gets it out there, it's being consistent. And this is something that just find a way that works.
Commandment number 10, video marketing. Commandment number 10, enjoy yourself. That's the most important thing. It shouldn't be a chore. Creating video content should not be a chore. It is easier than people think. We're doing, as I said, we've got a webinar I'm going to do in about a month. I'm going to set it up on the camera confidence and the presenting skills. But yeah, and we've got we're running our creating videos with your phone workshop at the moment, which we break down into 3 sections. But we've just introduced a new thing for members, which we're quite proud of. Working with Karma Earth, Karma.Earth, which is, for every new member we get, basically we have a tree planted. And they employ ex-service people as well, so that's really good.
So it's almost like 2 birds, 1 stone.
It really is. Well, I'm ex-forces anyway, so I think
I'm ex-forces wife.
You what?
I'm an ex-forces wife.
Are you? Is that British forces or South African?
South African Navy and the British Navy. Both my husbands have been in the forces. So
right. Okay. Yeah. My father was in the Navy. He was a submariner, and I was on a joint service course down in Portsmouth. Mick's shaking his head. Not this joke. It's actually a true story. I was on a joint service. It was tri-service course. It was in the Royal Naval Institute of Medicine, and the chief petty officer said, "Stand up, introduce yourselves." We're all in civilians. It was very relaxed, and it was RAF, Navy, RAF, Navy. Came to me, and I stood up and I said, Corporal Gareth James from the Infantry Training Centre in Brecon. And it looks like I'm the only Pongo here. And everybody chuckled, because in the army they call soldiers Pongos, because wherever the army goes, the Pong goes. Yeah. And I said, but the saving grace is my father was in the Navy for 12 years before they kicked him out. And the chief petty officer said, what did they kick him out for? And I said, oh, they found out he was a closet heterosexual. So and of course I got lots of laughs, and people. The chief petty officer said, "So you're the class clown. Have a seat."
There's always got to be one.
There's always one. I just well, whatever. I phoned my father and told him the joke, and he basically laughed his head off, and then phoned all his friends and told them the joke. But yes. So with it being where they employ ex-services and the rest of it, I thought, I met Kevin from Karma.Earth, and that I chat with him. I said to Mick, "What do you reckon to this?" Mick was like, "Sounds like a great idea." So now every new member we get at the Video Creators Club, we basically plant a tree, and we're going to be able to, I'm just copying the link address, we're going to be able to also there it is, Karma.Earth. There we are. So we'll also be able to now going forward be doing one for every new member and stuff like that. So yeah, it's really good. It's a new thing, but yeah, we've got our OBS workshop on the 26th of April. If you don't know what OBS is, highly recommend it for quick, easy videos. Touch of a button, you can have things appear like your name bar. You can share screen. You can have your end screen and stuff like that. And it takes loads of editing out, which is really good. So we got that starts at 12. It's 2.5 hours, 12 to half 2. And then on the 6th of April, Mick, is it 3rd of April? 3rd of April, we start our beginner's guide to video editing workshop.
3rd of May.
The 3rd of May.
It can't be April. We've done the 3rd of April.
3rd of April. No, it's not the 3rd of April. It's 3rd of May.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry.
It's 3 weeks as well, isn't it?
You what?
3 weeks in a row.
3 sessions over 3 weeks on a Friday, 12 till 2. So it's a 6-hour workshop broken down into easy to understand bites. And that starts on the 3rd of May, not April, because we've had that. That's pretty much it coming up for us at the moment. We have our creators meeting on Wednesday. So all members, if you're watching, creators meeting Wednesday, 3:00. Love to see you all there. But yeah, that's it really. Anything else, Mick?
I think that's about it, really, isn't it?
Is that about it?
Yeah.
So I would like to say I really enjoyed that chat. With you, Natalie. That was really good. It was really interesting. It is something I'm actually quite interested in, is the psychology behind confidence. Because I think I am strange because I enjoy challenging myself with my confidence. But then I meet so many people who are like, oh, no, I'm just happy to stay in my bubble and the rest of it. And I don't understand that.
Yeah, that is a very much a self-belief or lack of confidence.
Yeah.
But it is, I mean, to become confident and build your confidence, you need to push yourself. And if you don't, you won't. Well, I'm going to sneeze.
Okay, bless you. So but as you say, even if it's just a tiny step, even if
a
it's
little bit, it doesn't
challenge.
have. Don't go from 0 to doing stand-up comedy. I mean, that is just looking for failure. But maybe go to a network meeting if you're in business, or find something that can just help you. It's little steps. It's not about I mean, I always sort of visualize climbing Mount Everest whenever I'm fascinated by mountaineers and people who climb mountains. But it's not about just getting to the top of Mount Everest straight away. There's prep, there's stuff you have to do all along the way. And this is what you do. And then all of a sudden you find yourself with your flag on top of Mount Everest.
Yeah.
And yours was, one of your Mount Everest would have been the stand-up comedy. But you didn't go from absolutely no confidence to being on stage doing that. There was things that you did, whether they were consciously or subconsciously, that you were doing, that eventually you were then ready, even though you were pushed. But if you were not ready, it wouldn't have happened. And this is the thing. It's not about, oh, well, I can't do that. Well, what about this one here? What about this first step here? And that is so important. And it is constant. It is, yes, as we said in the beginning of the call, yes, there can be moments where you just lose your confidence. Life happens and something happens. You can lose your confidence, but you can gain it again. But it's being okay with that. And I think there is, the psychology behind it. And when I started to realize that there was confidence but usually doesn't happen by accident. There does need, and especially if you focus on it and really start to make a plan to do it. It's like running a marathon or going on a diet. It doesn't happen by accident. You've got to put effort into it, and you've got to make a plan. And it's the same with confidence. You just make a plan. Okay, I'm going to do something that feels uncomfortable on a daily basis. Some things will be bigger than others, and that's okay. You know, just keep going, just keep doing it. And when you have that one day that it just ain't happening, that's fine.
Yeah.
Then it doesn't happen that day, but tomorrow's another day.
Exactly. It is like a muscle, isn't it? So it pays to exercise it. And
but if you do nothing, you get nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Sanjay has been messaging that they've made a movie, and that takes confidence, because when you do that, you're judged by people afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So
well done.
Well done to you. And yes, so love to see it. And you're in Shipley, so basically check out the unit in Keighley. Basically just Google the unit Keighley. That's the tip for you, Sanjay, because at the end of the day, they're a part of Channel 4, and it's for filmmakers, up and coming filmmakers. So check that out, the unit.
Yeah, and if you email us, we'll email a link. We'll watch it. Give us some feedback.
Yeah, watch. Have a good watch of a free movie. Do like free movies.
Short film.
Well, you know, we used to run the film festival, but we don't do that anymore. But we did that for 10 years. We used to get loads of movies in, and some really good films from amateur filmmakers, and that does take a lot of confidence. But that's it. So thank you very much, Natalie. That was absolutely fantastic. Mick, thank you for all the bells and the whistles and the controlling and the pointing and the directing. Yeah.
Well, thank you for the invite.
And no, you're welcome. You're welcome. So next month we're going to be having a chat about food, which is going to be really nice, with Kay Atkins, who does food tours. Takes people around Harrogate, Otley, York, doing food tours in restaurants. Leeds, yeah. So she's all over the place, and she's when she goes on holiday, she sends takes loads of footage of food. And
I think she's in Japan now.
Is she in Japan at the moment? Is she?
Yeah.
Konnichiwa.
And who doesn't like good food?
I know, and I'm on this diet where I only eat once a day. Starving. Anyway, there we are. Never mind. The weight's coming off, and that's the main thing. So, right. Well, thank you again, Natalie, and thank you again, Mick. And we'll see you all later. And it's goodbye from me, and
bye from me.
Goodbye from everybody else. See you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.